Welcome to the ILWomen Midseason Report. I'm Matt Kinnear here with Halley Quillinan, breaking down what you need to know at the halfway point of the season. First up is Midseason All-Americans, an attack-heavy year. Halley, who do you see as being the top attackman in the country right now?
The top attackmen in the country right now, there are plenty that are having quite the solid year. It was tough to pick just 5. I think as a year, this 2017 season in particular, is going to be tough to narrow down that first team All-America by season's end. But right now, headlining this unit, starting from the top, Florida's Sammy Burgess, the senior quarterback, is leading her team with 18 assists, also has 17 goals to go along with that. Following down, Steph Lazo out of Penn State. The senior attacker is doing too well to leave her off this list right now. She has 27 goals to go along with 26 assists. She's the only player with double-digit assists for Penn State right now. That said, defenses haven't been able to shut her down. Kylie O'Miller coming out, having a huge year as expected. Courtney Murphy is out with an ACL tear. So this is Kylie O'Miller's team. She will take them as far as they can go. She has 29 goals and 21 assists, both their team highs. Following that up with Molly Stevens. Stevens' season was cut short last year with an injury. She has responded with a strong senior year. Recently a Tewarton watch list addition, a first-team All-American in our book. She has 28 goals, 6 assists, 22 ground balls, and a team-high 49 draws. Rounding out this All-America 5, Megan Whittle, the nation's most lethal scorer. She has 25 goals and 4 assists. There could be a number of players making their way onto this team by season's end. Molly Hendrick, Caroline Wannen, Shayna Parecka, Courtney Fortunato. A lot of time left. These are the 5 we have so far.
All-Americans, looking at the top midfielders from halfway point of this season. Halley, who's going to make your All-American list right now?
This list doesn't look very different than the preseason All-America list. You have Maggie Bill coming back. We knew she was going to come back with a storm. She has 16 goals, 10 assists, and 13 ground balls. She was recently a National Player of the Week nominee. Alex Condon coming in from Penn. The junior leads the Quakers' resurgence back into the top 10. She has 23 goals, 9 assists, 12 ground balls, and a team-high 17 caused turnovers. A fresh face in here, Sarah Martin for Albany. Much like Steph Lazo, you can't leave her out. She's having such a strong year. Albany has played Penn State, played Syracuse, played North Carolina, and she's come up with key performances. She has a team-high 29 goals, 12 assists, team-high 17 ground balls, and 37 draw controls. Coming in, no surprise, Marie McCool, the preseason Tewarton favorite, is leading North Carolina. She has 21 goals, 6 assists, 19 ground balls, and a team-high 11 caused turnovers. Rounding out, Zoe Stukenberg, the favorite All-American out of College Park. She is leading the Terrapin midfield unit. She has a team-high 19 ground balls to go along with 26 points offensively.
Our midseason All-Americans, looking at the defenders on this list. Halley, who is on your All-America list?
Kicking it off, Taylor Bresnahan, Florida's all-time caused turnover leader. She has a strong showing in her senior season, 12 ground balls and 10 caused turnovers. Following that up, fellow Gator, Caroline Fitzgerald. I said at the beginning of the season, if a defender is going to win the Tewarton, it's going to be Fitzgerald. She has a team-high 25 ground balls, a team-high 11 caused turnovers this spring. Following that up with Nadine Hadnagy out of Maryland. She is the next up Maryland defender. We had Megan Dowdy, we had Alice Mercer. This year you have Hadnagy leading the Terps. She has 12 ground balls in the backfield. Katie Smith rounding out this group from Cornell, 22 ground balls, 14 caused turnovers. Both of those are team highs and amongst the nation's leaders. And last but not least, out of Southern California, a mini-turn defender this year, Lydia Sutton. Sutton has 2 assists in transition to go along with 14 ground balls and a team-high 11 caused turnovers.
The specialty positions, draw specialists and goalies, so important in women's lacrosse. Halley, those 2 positions, who's your leaders right now?
Right now, it's a toss-up in the specialist position at draw controls. Right now, I have to go with Sammy Jo Tracy. She has a team-high 77 for the Tar Heels. She's been battling out with Syracuse freshman Morgan Widener. Widener was essentially a recruited walk-on for the Orange, but she has been one of the nation's leaders in draw controls per game, doing great things for Syracuse. But right now, have to go with the senior out of Chapel Hill. Sammy Jo Tracy has 17 goals and 2 assists to go along with her draw work. And in goal, another tough competition. but I have to go with Colorado's Paige Sookson. The senior, 57.5% saves in goal, a 7.19 goals against average. She is Colorado's driving force, and they have driven far this spring. She deserves a spot. She has 12 ground balls to go along with that. Keep an eye on goalkeepers like Ellie DeGarmo, the reigning first teamer, Megan Taylor, and then of course you have U.S. teamers Gussie Johns and Kaylee Waters. This is a tough race for essentially 3 All-America spots.
ILWomen Midseason Report, the biggest outcome this season, the biggest game that had the biggest impact on women's Division I lacrosse. Halley, what is it?
You could go a lot of ways. My pick, Maryland 13, North Carolina 10. North Carolina coming off a national championship. Maryland heading into this season very young. They had the number 2 ranking. People didn't know if they were going to stay there or drop. They came out on fire. They showed that not only were they there to compete, they regained the number 1 ranking and downed a veteran Tar Heel team 13-10.
The championship has been dominated by 2 teams, Maryland and North Carolina, for the past few seasons. Who can challenge their reign as a title contender?
Maryland and North Carolina are still the top 2 teams in the country in every poll out there. But number 3 consistently is the Florida Gators. A game to watch this month is going to be Maryland versus Florida. That's going to be a game lacrosse fans don't want to miss. Florida is firing on all cylinders. They have the top offensive unit in the country, very balanced there. Arguably the top defensive unit as well. Molly Stevens has come up strong on the draw control, an area where the Gators have struggled in years past. It seems like all of their holes that they had to fill have been filled. I think if a team is going to beat Maryland or North Carolina, it's going to be Florida.
Rapid fire here, Halley. A few quick questions for you. Shot clock, good or bad?
Great. Can I say great?
Great works. What is shaping up to be the best conference tournament in this late April and May?
I think the MPSF, you have to go with it. Who's going to go out with a bang, bragging rights, and with how good Colorado is playing, it's between Colorado, USC, and Stanford.
Under the radar team that can make a push?
I have to go with Cornell. It's hard to say they're under the radar after that USC win, but continually I feel like Cornell is really trying to get the respect they deserve. Don't overlook Cornell, especially as it comes to the Ivy League tournament.
Which team has the most fun out there?
Florida. After they score goals, they're jumping around, they're having fun, they're cheering each other on. It looks like the Gators are having fun, understandably so. They've had some big wins.
Breakout player of the year?
Paige Sookson, for Colorado. She was tiptoeing the All-American nod. She is 100% going to be an All-American by the end of the season. And I think that should she remain healthy, she'll be a first-teamer.
And who is the rookie of the year?
This is tough. I said in last week's podcast, Kara Trombetta out of Florida. I'll stay with it. If it's not Trombetta, which I know it's tough to give that to a defender, probably go with Kerrigan Miller out of USC.
Rapid fire part 2 in this mid-season report. Halley, Tuorton, the biggest award in the land. Who wins it?
I have to go with Marie McCool. I think that what she's been able to do this year, she is so strong in the midfield and she provides a scoring punch when her team needs it most. It's certainly up for grabs. I don't think there's a clear front runner, but I'm going to go with my preseason front runner and Marie McCool.
The pinnacle of the sport is the final 4 teams that make it to championship weekend. Which 4 teams do you expect to see there?
Maryland, North Carolina, Florida, throwing a dart at the board, USC.
And out of those teams, who brings it home?
Florida.
There we go. New champion in Florida.